Now you've got Auston Matthews questions because he's got to re-up here in a year and a half. And you've got, okay, where are we going? What's the direction? And that's got to be an unfavorable conversation to be having in Toronto right now, because this is the last thing they thought they'd be, and it's a bad place to be.
I'm just guessing. I have no clue. And maybe he wants to stay there forever. That could totally be option A. I don't know. But I just always think, I'm like, an American guy. He's been there a long time. He's from the Southwest. Like, has he had enough up there? Like, it's, he's performed. The results haven't been there in the playoffs and stuff, but, he is a good player. What does the next, few months look like in his world? And that is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Clearing the crease.
Welcome to another edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, alongside your favorite Cup winner, Kami, and everybody's favorite Rookie of the Year, Razor. I'm Sobalski, and just a quick reminder, thank you to everyone who continues to find us, especially on YouTube these days. And don't forget, you can also, if you want more content and coverage, Apple, Spotify, and tons of social media extras on X, Instagram, and TikTok. So no shortage of ways to continue to find us and consume, just spoon feed yourself more of that Clearing the Crease podcast content. And we'll also be continuing the show during the games in Italy. Yeah, we're all set to drop the puck in Milano Cortina. And who knows, maybe even some bonus content as well. Boys, how are we doing? Kami, Saski Green, I see. What is going on in Kami's world this week?
Yeah, I made a business decision last night for you guys. I had you guys in mind a little bit. Yeah. I'm in Saskatoon. We're sitting in the Alt Hotel. I had the Saskatchewan Rough Rider Winter Classic. So I had my own version of a Winter Classic. It was a tight game. Team Green won 7-6. Our goaltender didn't get a star, which might be the biggest robbery I've ever seen in hockey. He was hands down our best player. We probably could have lost that game 20-7. Somehow we won it 7-6. But good crowd, good time. Went for a few drinks. God, I haven't done this in a while. I ended up, they like rum here in Saskatchewan.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So,
going back to the pirate conversation.
Yeah. I was having a good time, the little get-together, post-game party little thing or whatever. So I started smashing these rums. And I don't think I've really had much rum, like not much anyway, since pretty much college. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, the rum was coming up. And I was like, oh, boy. And I had to get up this morning. I had to be responsible. I got this, and I got to get to the airport. So for the first time in a long time, I did shade to the old bathroom and shoved my fingers down my throat and emptied the tanks of the rum. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of ugly in there. I had some on my shoes. I had some on the floor. I had to, mop it up with the... It was a little bit ugly. I will say I felt significantly better after. And then they dragged me to one more bar, and I'm like, I can't. I'm exhausted. And so I do the old Irish goodbyes, or whatever the term is, ninja dust. I never say goodbye, because then you never get out of the bar. So I'm like, pretend like I go into the bathroom, and I hooked her right, and I was out the door so fast. See you later. Mike Sillinger, where are you? Let's go. I'm in bed. I'm like, I still haven't responded.
He won't know. He won't know.
No, he won't know.
It's the sugar. That's the problem with rum.
Yeah,
everything's mixed with juice or sugary pop, and that's what kills you every time.
Yeah, it was an ugly scene there for about 5-6 minutes in the bathroom at Suite 301 in Saskatoon. I think that's what it was called.
Razor, you think of the battles that Kami has been through over the years, right? Going the distance, going to multiple Stanley Cup finals, enduring rough head coaches, going through different organizations. But go figure, his toughest opponent of his career is a bottle of rum.
Oh, no, yeah.
Bottle of rum got me. Bottle of rum got me.
Well, I'm down in Tampa, so the first thing that I'm down in Tampa, I did veteran showcase yesterday. So they put 4 veteran teams together. I was lucky enough to coach the Navy SEALs Hockey Foundation.
Wow.
Awesome.
Unbelievable
That's
guys. Cool. Unbelievable guys. Half of them are from Boston or have a Boston, New England connection. So I'm starting to make those connections right out of the gates. And then the other coaches, Bugsy Malone, Ryan Malone, Nate Thompson, and Tyler Johnson come in. We're hanging out, having a coffee before this all starts. And right away, we go to Right away, how lucky are you? You get to hang out with Kami once a week. That podcast is awesome. Love seeing it. Hope Kami's doing unbelievable. Right. Bugsy couldn't, I know Smitty and all those other guys with Bugsy, I've hung out with them a lot. Right away, it's Kami. It's that's sick. How are you guys doing that? That's unbelievable. So I'm sure they, at one point, long ago, these guys all behave themselves now, but I'm sure they all battled a bottle of rum together, but or Crown Royal more likely in some of those cases.
I could touch on that. Yeah, that is very true. I wasn't in Tampa Bay long, but it didn't take me long to figure out, Ryan Malone, you got to pay attention when you're out with Bugsy. You let things slip for even a little bit, old Bugsy's going to Bugsy you, and next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. And whiskey was a big part of that back in the day. Different days now, I know those days are behind us, but there was a couple months there where I was like, oh my, I don't know if I can take this. This guy's running my show.
Yeah. So we're a couple road warriors this weekend, as you can see behind us, Kami and I. Down in Tampa, hockey game today, Stadium Series, and should be awesome.
Bugsy's flow, a close second to yours, Kami, at one time. That mane was pretty big at one time as well.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Bugsy had the hair when I played with him for sure. He's a very interesting individual. I played against him a little bit in college. He was at St. Cloud State, but I didn't know him, and I didn't really know him. I didn't know him until the end of my career when I was in Tampa. And yeah, he's an interesting character, and he's got one of those, his personality goes along with it, but he's got when he had the hair and he's got the tattoos, and when he smiles, he's got a nice smile. So you turn around, you're at the bar, you turn around, Bugsy's smiling at you. Here's your whiskey, Mike. Shot of whiskey. I'm like, thanks, Ryan. 3 minutes later, turn around again. Here's your whiskey, Mike. Smiling at you. I'm like, thanks, Ryan. But he
smells like chocolate chip cookies. He just right?
Oh yeah. He's a good dude.
That's funny. We all know those people. Yeah. Hey, just a reminder, everybody, it's the Bodog Party Prop Contest. All you got to do if you want to play, look, the big game's coming up on Sunday. Go to bodog.eu and fill in your parlay picks on the prop sheet. Make your picks and win a dream golf trip. Kami, we're singing your song. A dream golf trip to Las Vegas and play a round of football play a round of golf, I'm assuming, with football legends. Doug Flutie. Yes, the Magic Flutie. I've got a buddy who's still got a box of Flutie Flakes from the 90s. I can't believe it hasn't started glowing yet. But Doug Flutie, Milt Stiegel, the Touchdown Beagle. Details on Bodog's socials, and you can enter now or at bodog.eu. So do that, partake for a chance to win an amazing golf package. Guys, I want to dive into this week. Let's talk about Sidney Crosby. Look, it's been 16 years since Sid scored that magical goal in the 2010 Winter Games in Vancouver. And it's crazy. He's still playing at a high level, over 20 years in the league. Here he was getting emotional prior to the celebration for the 2016 Penguins Cup winning squad. Is there a story where that guy has battled with you guys, or just tell me what comes to mind? Because at the rate he's going, barring injury here in the next couple of years, I think when it's all said and done with, this guy might be number 2 on the all-time NHL scoring list behind only 99. Kami, what say you? Ever any sort of battles, or what stands out for 87 with you?
Yeah. For me, it's not so much the on ice. I mean, I'm sure he lit me up a few times. There's no question about it. I just choose to forget those moments, so I don't remember anything like that. I definitely personally don't remember running his show. That didn't happen, because I would have made a point to remember that. For me, it's just kind of his career in its entirety. I was lucky enough to meet him once, probably in 2012, 2013. We were just starting the Cleary Horkoff Invitational. He joined us for a round in L.A. We met him in L.A. I guess at the end of every year, I'm assuming he still does something similar. He's a big deal, obviously, in Canada. When, he can't, he walks around Saskatoon here, everybody's going to know who he is. And I'm sure it's the same when he goes anywhere in Canada. So to get a little breather, I guess he goes to L, or at least he used to. At the end of the season, he would go to LA, where not very many people know him. So he came out for dinner with us, played a round of golf with us, seemed like a great guy. But for me, with his career, and I'm sure you guys remember as well, but, there was a time there with the concussions and whatnot where it was kind of dicey for a little bit. Hey, is this guy, thankfully for him, because it was off, monkey off his back. He won a cup early and you're 3 or whatever. But, it was pretty dicey injury wise. So the fact that, he got through that, and then, that's old news, right? That's been at least a decade ago, and he's been fairly healthy, I think, ever since. So, yeah, I'm with you on number 2. The fact that he's still playing the way he is and putting up the numbers that he is, and getting emotional and stuff. You I guess in a way, or you can tell he cares. I would say, and he cares, and it's important to him. And I would say that's probably one of the bigger reasons why he's still playing so well.
Razor.
So it's funny. The only Sid, the real kind of cool Sid memory. I was on the bench in Pittsburgh in the Igloo for his first goal. His first goal was against the Boston Bruins, against Hannu Toivonen. It was the second game of the season. We were all in the Igloo, and it's all right, who is this kid? We're coming out of the lockout, and it's all we've heard about is Sid. And it's he's 18. He's not going to really be able to play in this league. Well, yeah, 2-2 in the first game that I see him play, and it's different. Right out of the gates, it's different. So I think all the way to that to this, and then Kami brings up the head injury, the 3 Stanley Cups. I think at the end of the day, yeah, number 2 on the scoring list. But the reality is the best players of this generation, and I think the best players that have ever watched them, I go to some of the Bruins guys that are up in the rafters, and they say Sid's top 5 overall, right? He's the Mount Rushmore guy. And he's passed so many of those greats that he has to be considered one of the best of all times. Ovi's got the most goals, but I don't think he's ever going to be in that conversation the same way Sid is. And
no,
he just continues to win. And he did it at the Four Nations, right? Last year, the first game, he comes out, gets his 2 goals, leads the way. You have to imagine in the next couple of weeks, he's going to put another chapter in his book some way, somehow, of continuing to be one of the greatest hockey players ever. It's crazy what he's done. It really is. And then you add into the fact he's never screwed up. What's the only bad thing anyone ever said about him was when early on he would whine about penalties all the time.
Yeah.
That's literally the worst thing people said about this guy in 25 years in the NHL. It's pretty impressive he was able to keep it that tight.
It is wild. The only closest thing to controversy that stands out with Sid, because I was kind of assigned to following a lot of his stuff as a youngster, covered the 2 World Juniors he played in. Obviously, one of those ones. Razor, how about this for a line? Corey Perry, Patrice Bergeron, Sidney Crosby, and that was in North Dakota. Kami, you're just after you finished school there in Grand Forks at the Engelstad. And he had the one question he was asked, in the event, if they used replacement players in the National Hockey League, would you play? And he was 17 at the time. And it was yeah, man, I just want to play. And then it was oh my God, Sidney Crosby would be a scab. And then it was quickly, hey, wait a second. Yeah. Kid didn't quite understand the context, just wanted to play in the National Hockey League. And so
you guys, Seaball.
No kidding, right? Just a bunch of jerks. Yeah. And that's the only thing that really stood out for Sidney Crosby in terms of controversy. But you're right. I think officials found him a little much to deal with when he first broke into the league. And I think part of that comes from passion. But, Kami, further to what you talked about with the injuries, and we go back to, after Vancouver, sort of that 2011 to 2013, you look at the seasons, you look at the lost games that this guy's had for his career over the course of 20 years. The one season he plays just 22 games. The one season 36, and the 41 games that he had. So dealing with injuries, dealing with the lockout. And then you look at some of the games he lost with COVID just in the last 5-6 years ago. Where would his numbers be now for a guy who's got over 650 goals, almost 1,100 assists? It's truly remarkable that I think 2,000 points probably would have been way more realistic, had he not had to deal with all those injuries. So, a tip of the cap to Sid, who has absolutely exceeded the expectations for a kid who Wayne Gretzky once said, I think this kid might be able to break all my records. And
Crazy.
And that's a lot of pressure. Wayne wouldn't, I think Gretzky knows it is a lot. And I think Gretzky knows to be mindful of those sorts of comments and placing that sort of, and when you think of the hype that Sidney Crosby had placed upon him more than 20 years ago, it is crazy to think that he may have exceeded all the hype and the expectations of him. To your point, Razor, like, everybody wondering, who the hell is this kid? All we've been talking about for a lost season is Sidney Crosby. And I think he exceeded the expectations. So congratulations to 87, who just continues to shine. Another one I want to ask you about is Patrick Kane, who recently became the highest scoring American of all time. Did he ever savage one of you guys? And I'll throw this little sidebar in. Who was the best American teammate you ever had? And maybe it could have been someone you were just talking about moments ago based on all that whiskey talk. Razor, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, he's up there.
Patrick didn't tear me apart, but it's so fun. The Vancouver, right? I go to Vancouver right away.
Oh, yeah.
I think about him torching Shane O'Brien. Obes, one of my best Vancouver buddies from Port Hope, Ontario, and Obes got it the year before in the playoffs when Patrick decided to get the hat trick in game. I believe it was game 5. He got the hat trick and punted the Vancouver Canucks. And then I saw it up close the next year when Patrick Kane and the Blackhawks beat us in 6. And we thought we had him. A game and a half into the series, we were up, and then it ended. And he just was. It's very interesting, the contrast between him and Sid, right? We talk about Sid, like, just so competitive, down in the corners, just going to grind everybody out, head down, not saying anything. And then you got Patrick Kane busting through the glass and, calling himself Showtime after he scores goals. And like, that is the opposite, but the same kind of relentlessness and the same kind of wanting to score, wanting to win, wanting to change the game more than everyone else. And that for me is how I think of Patrick Kane. Showtime is what I think of him, but it went much, much deeper in how much he wanted to affect the game and be the best player on the ice all the time.
Yeah. Patrick Kane, I mean, first off, obviously hell of a career. I'm sure he lit me up too, but I refuse to remember those moments.
Yeah.
He was a guy, I remember he was always, very, very shifty and incredibly good with the puck coming up the ice and in the zone, and very hard to handle is what stands out to me. In the same way with Crosby, there was a little time there with injuries. Like, is this guy be okay? With Patrick Kane, it was like, dude, is this guy going to end up in jail? Like, is he going to make it through? He's beating up cabbies and doing all kinds. It's like, we got another off season. What's coming? What's Patrick Kane going to be doing in Madison?
Look out, Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Heads up.
That's right. He couldn't get out of his own way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the beating up the cabbie or whatever was kind of the highlight for the lowlights or whatever, I think, from what I remember. But there were a couple more instances in there. But he's managed to clean it up, and that's old news now, and has had an incredible career and go from Chicago to Detroit and doing well in Detroit. So, two excellent careers, two of the best careers, if not the two best, but definitely both of them up there, Crosby for sure. And I don't know how you don't put Kane right up there too. But with their questionable times were definitely very different. But at the end of the day, they got it all together and have done a great job.
A conversation for a later date, but just to file away for both of you, is that in the salary cap era, so since 2005, is that Chicago squad the best group post, in the salary cap world? You think you got the Kings who've won a couple, the Panthers, obviously 3 straight Stanley Cup appearances, 2 wins.
Tampa.
You got
Pittsburgh, Tampa, right? I mean, there's some good teams, but is that Chicago one the best?
It would be good assignment.
Good question. Yeah.
Put those 5. Basically, it's those 5, right? LA, Chicago, Tampa, Florida, Pittsburgh, who did it really tight together. You put those 5 rosters together or put them up on the board and see where they fall out. But yeah, I mean, You go Taze, Hossa, Kane,
Duncan
Seabrook,
Keith.
Duncan Keith. Yeah.
Those are
Patrick
good.
Sharp.
Just
Patrick
those
Sharp.
five. Like you go top 5 on each of those teams.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one.
They were awesome. They were awesome.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to all of those guys compete. They just wanted it so much more than even I did. The rest of the NHLers, we were on a different level than them.
I want to what's happening these days with the Leafs. Look, we talk about them every week, but where you look at where they are in the playoff standings right now, and I think there's been conversations that they're looking to start considering selling off some assets here based on the numbers. How much can you strip down with this team? I mean, ultimately, you're still committed to the core, and I would think that any sort of substantial move involving a core piece would have to be more of an offseason. Razor, I'll throw this one to you just based on being in the East and being around the Leafs and being a former Leaf great as you are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're 8 points behind, right?
Yeah.
They're 8 points behind the playoffs, and they got to jump 6 teams. So
it's bad math.
Has to start thinking about getting some of those draft picks that they traded away and some of those prospects that they traded away the last few years and get them back in the stable because and they tried to make a shift in the way they thought about their team, make themselves harder, better playoff prepared, but it's almost like they overlooked the regular season a little bit. And so you might have to get back to that as well. And now you've got Auston Matthews questions because he's got to re-up here in a year and a half. And you've got, okay, where are we going? What's the direction? And that's got to be an unfavorable conversation to be having in Toronto right now because this is the last thing they thought they'd be. And it's a bad place to be geographically to have to deal with this. But I think it gets, if they do absolutely nothing, I think they get roasted. And that's a dangerous spot. That's uncomfortable. And that usually lends itself to it happening.
Kwame, to throw this to you and, an opportunity to defend your buddy here. But with Brad Treliving, has there been a general manager who has gone through a tougher few years between, the Johnny Hockey free agency fiasco and then Matthew Tkachuk and having to make the best of a tough situation there. And then Marner departing where it's like, well, you can't go through that situation again and lose a guy like that for nothing and then kind of lose that guy again for nothing aside from, unless you consider Nicholas Waugh a piece. Man, that would gray the hair pretty quick.
He's got the short end of the stick in those situations in a massive way.
Yeah, he's going to be getting rid of Gaudreau. He got rid of Tkachuk, or not get rid of. That's not really the term, but have to move him or
lost them all.
Whatever. Yeah. Next up, Auston Matthews, heading to the States. Have fun with that one, Brad. But yeah, I mean, it is a tough spot. Yeah, I don't have the answers. In one thing, I mean, you got to give Brad's not scared. So he's not scared to pull the trigger. It is an interesting conversation, and I'm sure not too many people want to hear about it in Toronto as far as Matthews. But you got to figure. I'm just guessing. I have no clue, and maybe he wants to stay there forever. That could totally be option A. I don't know, but I just always think I'm like, an American guy. He's been there a long time. He's from the Southwest. Like, has he had enough up there? Like, it's, he's performed. The results haven't been there in the playoffs and stuff, but, he is a good player. What does the next, few months look like in his world? And that is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely fascinating for that one. And we wait and see. Toronto, always must see TV. McDavid just gone on an insane run here over the last 2 months. He's already almost at 100 points already, and nobody was talking about him really for the better part of the first 3 months of the season. He's almost at 100 points. Tell me this: do you guys think that the Oilers have what it takes to do it 3 straight years to get to a cup final with this group? And we tend to talk more about the flaws as opposed to the nuclear weapons. Kwame, do they have what it takes?
You know what? It's a very good question. I am going to say, and nothing against the Raw. I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say no purely on the point that I think, especially with the best players going off to the Olympics, it's a busy year this year. And I think and I'm going the same way with Florida too, asking a team to go to the finals 3 years in a row is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. So I am going to go with no, and that's not even commenting on the roster. I still have my thoughts with, Bush, our boy Bush, putting up 6 points. Oh, yeah, some nights, man, he looks good. And every once in a while, Captain Casual comes out, and it's like, oh, boy.
And we haven't even touched on your boy Darnell.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't heard much about my boy Darnell. I will say the games that I've watched.
He's been all right.
Yeah, I think the Darnell drinking game, somebody told him about it, and it's changed his career. He stays on his feet now. He's not.
He's been solid. He's been solid this season. Yeah, he's been solid this season.
But Darnell's doing all right. Yeah, that's right. I should be a D coach, but yeah. I mean, just 3 years in a row to the finals, like I think it's a lot personally.
So all those are great. I'll take the other side for one reason, or give you a reason why that this can happen, and it's based strictly off of the playoff structure. This is completely has nothing to do with anything that Connor McDavid or Captain Casual or anybody does. Bush bombs, goaltending, all of those things. Just all this is the way the playoff structure is. That Edmonton Oilers team, if it stopped playing right now, in the first round they played the Seattle Kraken. If the playoffs started right now, they'd be playing at home against the Seattle Kraken. In the next round, they'd be playing either Vegas or Utah in the second round. And then they would get a Colorado, Dallas, or Minnesota who just had to beat those two teams and beat the shit out of each other in the conference finals.
Good point.
And Edmonton would get them well-rested, ready to go, and then you get to the finals. So the way the playoff is structured, the Edmonton Oilers have the easiest path of every single team in the National Hockey League if the season ended right now, and that gives them an opportunity. Because if they were in the Central, I'd be saying no. If they were in the Atlantic, we'd say no. If they're in the Metro, we'd say no. But they're in the Pacific, and that's down, and that gives them a chance.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. The path of least resistance is through the Pacific. And think about the Smythe was always the tough one, right?
No, that's
the Smythe was Murderer's Row, and now that Central has just those top three teams, just absolutely Murderer's Row with Colorado, Minnesota, who just ripped through Edmonton recently, and obviously Dallas as well. Okay, throw this one at you before we get to Don't Puck It Up. Retro jerseys. I've talked about these in the past, I think, on episodes, but you've got the Nordiques being worn by the Colorado Avalanche. We saw the Battle of Quebec come out for a night last week. The Kane still dust off. Your alma mater here, Kami. They bring back the Whalers. That they're just, both of those jerseys are spectacular. Look, there's some hard feelings for some people. I love them because personally, would you rather those things just be sitting in a closet or sitting in the Hockey Hall of Fame and only being seen that way? I like the fact that they still get dusted off. And I say this as a guy who lives in Vancouver, and I see the Memphis Grizzlies wearing those old Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys that are just straight fire. Do you guys like those? Do you like them coming back in a market that took the club?
I like them. I love seeing them. To your point, we can't lose them. I had a problem them wearing it in Montreal, the Nordique. Like, boy, oh boy, that kind of really rubs salt in the wounds for the guys up the highway 4 hours. And then I don't really love it when they use them against each other either. Kind of the same idea. Like, that was the old Adams. Like, that's our Adams division. I would happily watch Carolina wear the Hartford Whaler jersey against the Florida Panthers. That doesn't mean anything to me, and I want to see the jersey. But I don't know that the meaning, the tradition, and especially the Nordique in Montreal, that was too much for me as a non-Nordique fan, let alone a Nordique fan.
I love them. I mean, I think it looks cool. I do think it's very cool. I think they're both sharp, especially the Nordique one is awesome too.
It is.
I'll take the Whalers, but it's very, very close. Like, that Hartford jersey is awesome. I like it when they bring it back. I do get also, like, especially with a situation, you're bringing the Nordique back in Montreal. I can get how some people, maybe some hard feelings and get a little pissed off. But at the end of the day, I think if the option is, like you said, Seaball, if the two options are, hey, bring them back once in a while, they're good looking, or bring them back once in a while and you remember, or don't bring them up back at all, and sooner or later people are going to forget, I would rather go with the option where people remember personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. And by the way, like, I'm sorry, with all due respect, I know you won a Stanley Cup with those uniforms, but is there an uglier uniform in hockey than the Carolina Hurricanes? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, they should have just kept those Whalers colors. Just keep the Whaler. Come on, man. It looked like the Russian Red Army when they first broke on the scene in the 90s, and they haven't really changed it all that much either. I don't know, man. To steal a line, like, those jerseys are trash. Just keep the whale. Just commit to them. You want to put a C instead of the W, so be it. But that green and blue and white, I don't know.
Seaball, I can't be on here saying the Canes jersey's trash. Everybody that likes me.
That's me.
So
That's
I can't
me.
comment on that.
Yeah.
But I will say the Hartford jersey is awesome. There's no question.
Sorry, Carolina. You can send all the hate mail to me at
Seaball,
James Sabalski on X. Commies Switzerland on this one.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to Don't Puck It Up. And mine this week is the Montreal Canadiens, coming off big wins over the past week over Buffalo, Colorado, Vegas. As we record this, the Habs are getting some ridiculous scoring right now. How about Cole Caulfield? Since being left off the American Olympic squad, 11 goals in his last 8 games. America might regret leaving him behind for Milano Cortina. You got 3 players averaging over a point a game, and they continue to win in spite of goaltending that has been dodgy at best. Now, going back to a conversation we had earlier about the Oilers, I can't see Edmonton doing it 3 straight years, going 4 rounds. So, Montreal, don't puck it up, because I think you're Canada's best shot for ending that long cup drought streak.
Very easy for me, very quick. Don't puck it up. If you're in the Olympics, wrap yourself in bubble wrap for the next 6 days. Get through these 2 games. Don't block a shot. Don't go in the corner. Don't get hit. And get yourself to Cortina. That's mine.
Don't puck it up.
That's a good one. I never thought of that. That's a very good point. I was looking this morning. I struggled to find one hockey-wise, guys. So my don't puck it up. We're going to get out of the hockey world, and we're going to move quickly into the golf world. Don't puck it up, Brooks Koepka.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's back.
He's back. You got an opportunity to come back. There are some penalties involved. We don't need to get involved in that. But at the end of the day, he's back. You're not going through Q school and whatnot. You're right back on tour. Some people are pissed off. I get that part of it too. But at the end of the day, Brooks Koepka's won 5 major championships. You win majors, hey, maybe you can get a few more opportunities that your average Joe ain't getting. So don't puck it up, Brooks. They let you back in. You're back where apparently you want to be. Get yourself going and back in major contention. How about I'll leave it
real quick. Does he still have it?
He'll find it.
I think so.
Yeah.
He felt like that putter didn't look very good from what I saw. Yes.
He felt, I'll tell you what, 3 years ago,
Colt was doing everything he could not to rip him on that putter.
3 years ago, that guy was a safe bet for any sort of major. But we'll see where it kind of goes. All right. Big game coming up on Sunday. Who are we taking? Who do we like? Personally, I think Seattle is going to, sorry, Razor, I know you're in Boston, but I think the Seahawks are going to curb stomp New England in this one. I think they're going to cover the number. Take the 12s. Obviously, I'm biased here in the South Coast, only a couple of hours from Seattle, but I think the Seahawks team is for real.
So as a Bills fan, I'm going to take the Patriots because I'm going to be on the couch with a bunch of Patriot fans very excited about this game. And if I take the Patriots, I win either way. Because if they lose, I'm excited. And if they win, then I win. So there you go. Taking the Pats. But Seattle should don't smoke them, right?
I mean, I want to say Seattle. Like I do. Like Seattle's apparently, from what I see, has the better team. They're definitely favored. But this, to me, and not that I've been very good at picking football winner, but I'm sitting here looking at that, and it's always, Seattle's going to, the team that's favored, the public loves, they're going to stomp them, which it does look like they should. And then these kinds of games seem to, like, all of a sudden, the team that's supposed to get smoked hangs in there. So I will take, I think Seattle's going to win, I guess. But if I was betting the thing, I'd be looking to bet the Pats in some way. I'll go with that.
There you go.
You know what? Trust the voice of the guy who typically gets it right for our Clearing the Crease Saturday special. So listen to Commie.
North Texas Mean Green. I haven't forgotten. I didn't get that one right.
Yeah, but you also walked away with $3,000 with 2 other bets that you didn't even place. So, man,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Thanks
There's the
to
luck.
That guy who left it open.
The green might be the luck of the Irish Commodore style. That'll do it for this week's edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast. All the best to all the players heading over to Milano Cortina. He's Commie. He's Razor. I'm Cebulski. We'll see you next week on the Clearing the Crease podcast. See ya.